Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Um, my name is Annette Gilbert. I'm going to start the meeting tonight. Just so we're all introduced, we have our our uh, our recording genius, Mr. Sean.
Mhm.
He is also almost single-handedly responsible for our agenda, and he will be acting as moderator just to keep us on a good timeline. We also have Miss Anna Sanders with us. And then we have Miss Audrey Ives, and we have Svetlana. And I just really don't want to miss anyone else's name. So I'm going to leave it to that. And just so you guys know, Miss Svetlana is at work right now, which is why her camera is off. So, because she does have to protect patient confidentiality. Um, our topic that we will be um, presenting tonight or speaking about is the use of AI in schools and what part it plays in education. Um, we have a list of prepared questions that Sean has, I believe, sent to each of you. Did everyone receive that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right. Well, like I said, Sean is going to be acting as our moderator, so I'm going to go ahead and hand the meeting over to him.
Excellent. Thank you, Annette. I'd like to start off with Audrey.
Okay.
Audrey, uh, do you think does AI powered tools improve student efficiency or do they make them lazier? And also, does AI help or hinder creativity in academic work?
Okay. This for me is a personal challenge because as an eighth grade English teacher, I find that I would say 90% of my students are no longer willing to try to think, especially when it comes to writing, creative writing. They would rather um, use AI. The trouble is, they don't just use it for ideas or to learn. They will literally copy word for word what AI says and paste it into their assignments. Now, I know my students and I know their reading and writing levels, so I know they're not that advanced. The language that comes back is shocking, high academic language. So, in my opinion, it can be useful if it would could be used as a guide for students. If students would be responsible enough to read a paragraph and say, okay, this is how I should craft it, and then try to regenerate it. But the problem is they're not willing to try to do so.
Incredible. Thank you so much. Anna, do you have anything to add? Do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I totally agree. And obviously, that kind of age group, it's kind of like my peers, because I'm a senior in high school. Yeah, when I went to public high school, I also noticed that same trend. And um, the belief I hold, I don't think AI really has a place in the creative world. I think it takes away too much from, um, let me reword that. I think it's very easy to become dependent on it. And that's a really dangerous thing, especially for people my age, because that's becoming like a new norm is to just kind of feed AI all of this information and it just spits something back out at you. And you, like Audrey said, it's just, you don't think. It
Mhm.
just does it for you. So I think as the question states, it says, do you think AI-powered study tools improve student efficiency? I I think a lot of students don't use it as a tool. They just use it as a means to an end.
Mhm.
Um, if it was used for a tool, then I think it could be beneficial, but like I said, it really, yeah, I think it takes away more than it gives.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Svetlana, do you
I think, sorry, keep going.
no, go on.
Okay. I agree with Anna, but I think that they can significantly improve student efficiency by sort of providing personalized learning experience and like instant feedback, and you get some access to a vast amount of information. I also think it could sort of help students understand complex topics more quickly in a way and have them retain that information better through adaptive learning techniques. But it can be incredibly beneficial if it's used wisely. And I also think it's important for students to remain active participants and not really rely on AI as much.
Nicely said. Uh, Annette, do you agree, disagree? Oh, Annette, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I do agree that AI um, tends to be more of a crutch than simply a helpmate. I do, however, think that with the proper training in AI uses, um, that it would be incredibly beneficial in the education process. But that's another question.
Annette, do you think AI encourages procrastination?
I do. I do think that. I do believe that it encourages procrastination. I believe that it's like having um, the valedictorian as your best friend, you know,
Yeah,
and it's like having the valedictorian as your best friend. And always at the ready, you know. So it's there's ways that you can use it and utilize it and still remain inside the ethical boundaries of what we do in school. But I believe that without proper instruction, that it's going to cripple the coming generations.
I agree. I agree fully. Nicely done. Anna, do you think teachers should use AI to provide aid in tasks like grading or even providing student feedback?
Um, when I receive feedback from teachers, especially for writing that I have like poured into and I have like taken the time to write something, and my feedback is obviously very AI generated, it feels disingenuous and I don't really learn from it because of how shallow it is to me. It I think it can definitely be used to be more efficient. Like if it's just multiple choice, you don't have to go through the entire multiple choice test. I mean, that's kind of like Scantron, sort of um like technically that's a robot grading the work for you. I think that's very important. But in regard to feedback, I'm not really for it based off of the experiences I've had.
Awesome. Thank you. Svetlana, what do you think? Should teachers use AI?
I think that integrating AI into tasks like grading and providing feedback could be very beneficial for teachers since AI is able to handle repetitive and time-consuming tasks like grading and multiple choice tests and even providing initial feedback on written assignments. And I think it sort of like allows teachers to focus more on their personalized instruction and engaging with their students directly. However, I also think it's important to remember that AI should complement and not replace the human touch in education.
Nice. Yeah, I spoke with my old English teacher from high school, and she mentioned that she doesn't have a teacher's aide in her classroom anymore, and she uses a little bit of AI, and she's trying to find that balance. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Annette, what do you think? You're muted again. There we are.
Sorry about that. I definitely think that in rote tasks such as grading a bubble sheet or a multiple choice, things that have cut and dried answers, that's one thing and is acceptable. By all means, have someone or something rather do those tasks for you, especially with the cuts to the budgets they have. I mean, if you can automate something to do it for you, please do. But not for feedback. Not for feedback whatsoever. And there, at no point do I believe that it is okay to use AI to write feedback. Now, maybe an AI voice to text, because that's AI as well, but not to do the actual composition of their feedback. There's no question.
Yeah, you need a real a personal tone
And
to it.
there's, I mean, just like when student would utilize it, AI is not always correct. It's not always spit out in the right context. Neither would it for student feedback.
Thank you. And Audrey, I'm curious to see what you think about this. You're a teacher yourself. Do you
Yeah,
use AI now? Or yeah, what are your thoughts?
I do, and this is how I use it, and this is my personal struggle also, because if I don't want my students to use AI, then I don't feel that I should use AI. However, as I said initially, it can be used as a guide. It should not be relied on as the final answer. And so, for example, I have a total of 150 students. I don't see them all every day, but that's my total. And they're all eighth graders, and they're all basically on the same level. So, but I do have Spanish speakers. I do have French speakers. Recently, I have an influx of Russian and people from that side of the world. And so when I give a writing assignment for my students who speak a language, their main language is not English, um, I allow them to use AI, but they have to translate for me. They can't just copy and paste. So it's a process. It's a learning process, and it's tough. And for
Yeah,
those students, I generally use AI to give me feedback only because they don't speak English. So it's hard for me sometimes to figure out exactly what they're trying to say. So I
right.
get some help from AI in that aspect, because the AI will respond with instead of saying so and so, you should try saying so and so. And then that helps me to kind of narrow down, oh, this is where we're trying to go. So it's tough, and it can be a very beneficial tool for teachers. Um, but just plugging in, say for example, my English students, just throwing AI to their response, I don't think that's fair either. I know my students. I want to be able to read their writing and provide my personal recommendations based on what I know of them. But it is tempting, I can't deny, because it makes the workload so much easier.
Yeah.
But
And I think you have the right head on your shoulders to kind of teach the responsibility of AI.
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah,
yeah.
I think if it's taught, the responsibility is taught, and maybe this is something we as teachers need to integrate into our lessons, how to use AI responsibly.
Yeah.
Maybe that is something that, a step forward, a beginning somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll touch on that in a little bit.
Mhm.
Svetlana, where well, this college has a strict policy on AI usage. But what do you think? Where should colleges draw the line between cheating and helpful assistance?
I feel that they should find sort of a balance because AI can be super helpful for things like proofreading or like providing study aids and helping with research. But when it comes to doing the actual work or thinking for the student, that's where it crosses into like a cheating territory. And I think the line should be drawn where the AI is doing the intellectual heavy lifting. If it's just assisting and the student is still sort of actively engaged in learning, then it's helpful. But if the AI is writing essays and solving their problems or making decisions for the student, then it's also crossing the line into cheating.
I agree. Annette, what do you think?
I agree with that as well. I think that AI is a fantastic tool for things like proofreading when writing a paper and you have to make sure that all your tenses match up, like you're not speaking in the past here and the past participle here and all the things. Um, and sometimes just to have it to point out, as a learning tool, as a show me where I screwed up.
Yeah.
It is very, very useful for that. But again, it's all about the responsibility of using it and how you use it. And I can speak from my experience in one of my classes here at SPC. Uh, the teacher gave us permission to use AI, but it was for very limited, specific purposes. And we then had to submit the whole conversation, you know, with the assignment. And and I think that is a big step towards teaching that balance and responsibility. I think it should start way earlier, but
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with you. I was thinking about that, like, well, if it's just for like grammar and all that, like, I don't see a problem with that. Like, a comma or a period hasn't changed the world, but I'm sure spelling has, or wording. But yeah, great take. Audrey, what do you think?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Absolutely. Where should colleges draw the line between AI as assistance versus cheating?
Well, when it comes to college, I would draw the line to no AI
Strictly.
strictly. And this is because you are at a place in your life where you are trying to enhance yourself. And learning is learning. Learning has never been easy. Learning is a struggle, right? And you have made a decision to pay for your education. And so I think you should work for your education. In college, when I was in college, of course, there was absolutely no AI. Maybe I would have thought differently then, but having gone through it myself and having to do it myself, and having been successful at it, I think has made me a better person. Educationally, intellectually, all those things. I had to do it without AI. And so I feel like I learned a lot more because I still had to go back to the dictionary. I still had to look up words I didn't know instead of just saying, what is so and so, the meaning of so and so, and AI say it means this, and I say, okay. So because when you use a dictionary, it's a whole different ballgame. You have to then, okay, so this is what it means, and you have to take a moment to mentally understand what it means rather than just copying and pasting it into something, you know. So in college, I don't know if I would I don't think I would agree to college students using AI. I think it would limit the intellect, really.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like the kind of the strength through struggle. I really appreciate that iron sharpens iron type of deal.
Mhm.
Anna, what do you think?
So I agreed with most of the points that Svetlana made. Um, but speaking from personal experience, I have had classes where I just haven't really been able to catch up on lectures, and especially situationally. Hurricane Helene hit me pretty hard. We lost our rental house, and obviously SPC kind of shut down for like a week, and then it was back, and I had to attend all of those classes without with like unstable housing. And I felt like I missed a lot because of how turbulent my life was at the time. So in order to study for a lot of the tests, I actually turned to AI to help me like condense my lecture notes, to help me create these study guides. And I think that's how I succeeded for some of my classes near the end there because I was really struggling to hold on. Um, Obviously, like I said, it definitely should never get to the extent where it's a crutch. But I found that I was able to put more time into studying more difficult topics because I wasn't scurrying to try to get all of this information together. I could have it in bullet points and understand exactly what I need to study. Um, so that's what I have to contribute.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. I love it not using it as a crutch, but more of a ladder and actually using it as a tool and not as a cheat. Perfect. Annette, do you think colleges should educate students about responsible AI use? And if so, how can they do that?
I don't think colleges should. I think it should start in elementary school at this point. As we all know, technology is here. It's going to be here. It's not going anywhere. And they start teaching our children in preschool and Head Start and kindergarten to use computers. So if that is going to be the norm, then the norm also should be here's this tool that is encompassed in these products. But there are certain things you can do and things you should not do with it. Can it do them? Yes. Is it allowed? No. And here are the things that you can do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, start it right from the ground up because it's not good. And very there are many responsible, ethical ways of using it in your education. And just need to be taught. The only
Yeah.
way they're gonna all of us are grown enough to know that the moment you tell a child, don't touch it, the first thing they want to do, they want to touch it, like use it. So that is by far the least productive way to get a student not to use it. I mean, in my opinion, it's better to teach them. This is exactly how you use it, and this is going to be great. This is what you can do, what you can't, and then go by those guidelines to punish or not if they're found to be using it, along with the teaching them the responsible ways. make them responsible for how they use it by making them submit their chat logs, making them or whatever whatever chat logs on school school owned property. You know, those should all there should be no privacy issue there. Those should be available to the teachers, to the administration, things like that. And then with all that in mind, really, it would be a minimal need for any training or acceptable use training.
Excellent. And I'm so glad that you said it should be brought up from elementary up because I don't know why I didn't think of that. Just jumping right to college. So Audrey, do you think all education should include responsible use of AI? And if so, how can they do that?
Okay, so I am very big on critical thinking, and maybe it's because of my age. And so, now I have to understand and realize that technology is a part of this generation, right? Um, but I'm very happy Annette said we should start at kindergarten because this is where the kids actually start to use technology, right? So if we should start at kindergarten, I think the main focus in that area should be AI computer ethics, really. Because if we're going to say, okay, it's part of the generation, they can't do it without it, it's just how they have grown up, then the big question comes in of, are there any limitations? Are they going to be free to use AI to answer all difficult questions? And of course, I understand Anna's situation. There will be situations, the exceptions to the norm, where we will have to allow freedom of use. But again, this is where ethics is going to come in, where it's going to be crucial for them growing up knowing, okay, this tool is available to me. However, there are limitations on how I can use it.
Great insight.
You know?
Awesome.
Mhm.
Anna, should schools teach responsible AI use? Or how can they do it?
I actually agree with Audrey entirely. I think it's more of an ethical question. I think ethics need to be taught from a younger age. And I think there is a serious and kind of scary lack of that kind of conversation in my generation. And I I don't really have that much to add.
Yeah, perfect. Svetlana, any last words on the topic?
I agree with everybody on this, honestly, and I think that schools should educate students about responsible AI use. It's honestly becoming increasingly important as it's sort of more integrated into our daily lives and our academic work, especially. And I feel that schools could start by sort of organizing workshops and seminars to discuss these benefits and potential pitfalls of AI, sort of providing real world examples of both responsible and irresponsible use at the same time. And creating these clear guidelines and policies on AI use in your academic work can help students understand what is exactly acceptable and what is not.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think that looks like we're about almost out of time. So does anyone want to have any last words or send us off?
Well,
Go ahead.
okay. I will just quickly say it was nice to meet you guys. I wish you all the
Likewise.
best in your St. Petersburg journey. Um, I am in this course for recertification. and I'm really enjoying it, and we will see where AI takes us in the future.
Yes, we will. And it was nice meeting all of you as well. So we'll wrap there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
right.
So we'll go ahead and wrap this meeting up then. I do want to thank all of you for being here on time and giving us your time. That being said, I do believe integrity is going to be the name of the game in the future. Speaking of AI. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, good luck, of course, and good luck with your endeavors.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.